Hi, my name is Timothy Lloyd, and I'm working with the Sierra Club for the Ready for 100% Renewable Energy campaign. This is an interview that I conducted with Tori Carle. She is the Waste Reduction Supervisor for the City of Greensboro. This interview was filmed in a coffee shop, so it is quite noisy, but I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you can take something from it.
So I'm Tori Carle, and I am the Waste Reduction Supervisor for the City of Greensboro. And one of the big things that I do is educating people about their waste. And not their waste, but all of the things that they throw away every single day. And as a human on this planet, everyone creates waste. And it's so important to be conscious of the waste that you generate, whether it's a disposable coffee cup that you take every morning from your favorite coffee shop, or instead you bring your own, like I do, as much as possible. I'm not perfect. I don't live a zero waste lifestyle, even though I would really like to. But I really think it's important for people to be exposed to the waste that they generate, the impact that it has on our local community, and the impact that their choices to recycle rather than throw things away can impact our economy right here in North Carolina, right here in Greensboro. So Reconsider Goods is a donation center for items that maybe don't really have a home at other nonprofit donation accepting organizations. Things like arts and crafts and weird things from industry that can become a science project for a kid, or a really cool toy that somebody gets to make in one of their workshops, or at a birthday party kind of thing. And one of the big things that they're really trying to do, that we are really trying to do at Reconsider Goods, is just kind of, again, make people aware about the waste that they generate and really reconsider the items that they have in their hand. You might look at something and say, oh, well, this is old, I don't want this anymore. It is, maybe it is not useful to you anymore, or just outdated. Well, taking it to Reconsider Goods gives it a new life beyond going to the landfill or to a recycling center. So really, that's what Reconsider Goods is really trying to do in our community. And as the chair of the board, and the whole board of directors is really trying to move Reconsider Goods forward as a major nonprofit in the triad, and someone and an organization that people can count on for their needs, whether they are a teacher, a crafty person that just wants to make their Christmas presents instead of buying them new, or maybe just a kid that wants to go in and find some inspiration for their future art projects. So I think Wilmington and Greensboro are both extremely sustainable communities. They've got their people in their community that are, really trying to make big changes as far as waste and energy and better public transportation, so that we're using less fossil fuels and things like that. But I really think what our community needs is for there to be a realization, almost like a revelation on a broad scale, of the small, simple changes that you can make in your life every single day to conserve energy, waste less, use less fossil fuels, those kind of things. So a small change would be, taking your own grocery bags to the grocery store, switching over to LED bulbs, committing to never use a disposable plastic straw if you can help it. Those small, simple changes for you, they might not seem like a whole lot. It's just a drop in the bucket. Like, what is my impact going to be? But what you don't realize is that your small, simple changes multiplied by all of Greensboro, by all of Wilmington, by all of North Carolina, those small changes collectively turn into huge waves of change. Really, you hold the power. There is this really important thing that everybody needs to understand that I learned from one of my professors in college, is behavioral change doesn't happen without education, and it doesn't happen without correct policies in place. And you cannot have one without the other. So you have to have the education in place for people to be aware of the changes that you're trying to make. And you have to have the policy in place to hold residents accountable as well, and government and businesses. It's important for everybody to be held accountable. And so, for instance, there is a law that says that plastic bottles and aluminum cans are banned from landfills. Number one, you've got all of these, apartment complexes that don't offer recycling. You've got residents that can't recycle, and so the resident isn't obeying that law that I mentioned earlier, and the apartment complex isn't adhering to that law and providing recycling, and there's no teeth to the law. There's no way for that law to be enforced. So number one, the policy is flawed. Number two, nobody knows about that policy. Nobody knows that plastic bottles and aluminum cans are banned from landfills unless they have read something online that, at least in Greensboro, read something online that I post because I'm trying to generate awareness around that, or maybe they've talked to me or one of my employees or peers at the city of Greensboro that's really passionate about that kind of stuff, but not very many people know that. So it's so important for you as a resident to understand that no behavior change is going to happen unless we have both education and policy working together to move things forward. You really have to make sure that you understand that what you hold in your hand is a resource, and it has energy in it. It took energy to make it, and so now you need to make sure that you manage your waste, your individual waste, as best that you can. And there are 3 different ways that I think everybody could improve their waste management practices at home. Number one, contamination in the recycling. Make sure that you are recycling the proper thing, that you are, preparing your yard waste properly, and that you're only putting what you cannot get rid of in another way in your garbage. Number two, plastic bottles. Only 30% of plastic bottles are recycled. So that means 7 out of 10 plastic bottles get put in a landfill all over North Carolina and the United States. But if every household in just the Carolinas recycled 2 more bottles a week, that would create 300 jobs a year in the plastic recycling industry. All right, and the third thing that you can do to impact renewable energy with your waste is composting. Food generates a lot of methane in a landfill, so it's really important that if you have the ability to compost at home, I highly recommend it. So we've talked a lot about individual action and about how your individual action can have a big impact on our local environment, on our local waste management, on what renewable energy looks like in the next 5, 10, 15 years in Greensboro. But I do want to leave you with one more little nugget of information, and that is, there are a lot of things that community members in Greensboro tell me that they want to see, and one in particular is styrofoam recycling. And for a lot of reasons, styrofoam most likely will not be recyclable in your normal recycling can at home in Greensboro ever. And that's just because it's hard to collect, it's hard to separate, it's hard to sell, it has no market value at all. And those are just a few of the reasons. But I think the big thing to realize is that there is hope for something like styrofoam. And the hope is we come up with something different that is recyclable, that has the same properties and the same valuable job that recycling has. Keeping medicine and food cold is really important. So whatever you think is important, as far as waste reduction, renewable energy, water conservation, whatever you think is important, you have the power to make those changes, and you need to have the gumption, the wherewithal, the go-getter attitude to make that happen, and we can all work together to make Greensboro a better, greener, happier place to live, work, eat, play, and shop.